his family's only cow. She wrote poignantly about man's relationships with animals, and like Max Brand, had an especial fondness for horses. Blackwing, in the following story, is a good example of this love. Outcasts of Picture Rocks tells the story of 2 generations of the Jore family, feared and ostracized by all others, and both protected and imprisoned by their Arizona mountain stronghold. "Lovin' folks is strings on a man," Zion Jore says at one point, and it is the bonds of family and friendship that make this story such an emotionally powerful journey for the listener. Vicky Piekarski, Portland, Oregon. Chapter 1. They Say. From the rambling adobe hostelry, Trail's End, in Big Sandy, Arizona, one looks across vast sweeps of tawny rangelands to the jagged summits of the Montezuma Mountains, and immediately the eye is drawn to a great flat-topped dome, veiled in mists of palest violet, that towers a full 1,000 feet above the highest peak. It resembles nothing so much as a gigantic, exquisitely tinted cup, with fluted rim and one thin, time-seasoned crack, splitting it from rim to base. Wonderingly, seeing it for the first time, and enjoying the sunset from the wide, shaded gallery, the latest guest asks just what that cup contains. The answer comes from old Dad Pepin, the genial, picturesque host of Trail's End who had lived long in the land. "Sure death for the curious." But this seeming a reproof, when heaven knew no one was more curious in this respect than himself, quickly the old man explained, "Why, that's the Picture Rocks basin." Picture Rocks. Every section of Arizona had its quota of them, the sign-writing of a prehistoric people which modernity could not decipher, a perpetual challenge to students of antiquity, and an unfailing source of interest to everyone. But death to be curious about them? Some foolish legend. "It's a crater, of course," mused the stranger, unimpressed. "The core of an old volcano, burned out ages ago." His host solemnly agreed. "It's a volcano, all right, but it ain't burned out by a blamed sight. Every now and then it flares up and overflows." Meeting a smile of disbelief, he said, in simple explanation, "The Jores live there." He felt a certain pride at the way the stranger whipped around in his chair. "Not the Jores? Not the outlaws who've kept this state in hot water for 30 years? "The same," replied old Dad Pepin, nodding his head. "That basin's been their refuge for 2 generations. What's in there, you're free to guess. But the Jores taboo all trespass and enforce it with fast rifles. You see that split running down from them 2 highest spires? Well, that's Sentry Crags, the one known pass. Day and night they guard it. Right this minute there's a sentinel on watch. They can see a rider coming from miles, and if one gets too close, well, the Jores don't miss." Eagerly succumbing to the lure of the forbidden, the visitor said, "I'd like to see the Picture Rocks basin." "Nothing original about it." Dad's sun wrinkles deepened. "Half the men in Arizona has the same itch, especially Pat Dolan, our esteemed sheriff, but he's wise enough to take it out in wishing." "You don't seriously mean to say," protested the guest, "they'd shoot a man for going in?" "Mighty serious," Dad Pepin said. "They'd no more hesitate than you'd think twice about shooting a man who was breaking into your home with murder in his heart. They wouldn't dare hesitate. It's them against the world. They'd shoot, and I don't blame 'em. A man's home is his castle, and the Picture Rocks has been home to the Jores ever since old Jericho took refuge in that basin and defied a whole troop of U.S. cavalry to take him." "Jericho Jore? I've heard of him. A leader in the old Los Lobos Range War. A renegade of the worst kind." Queer, the smile that played upon Dad Pepin's lips. "Maybe," he admitted slowly. "Maybe he was. Reckon all us old-timers